Hey y'all, Bethany here. Welcome back to my channel, Bethany Brings Books. Today we're going to be doing another Recent Reads video. So guys, I have been reading a little bit more recently. My reading's kind of picked up a bit as we're kind of transitioning into getting ready for summer. Things are gonna start hopefully slowing down a bit as far as like the kids' school and stuff like that, so hoping I'll have a bit more time to read, but just reading a bit more lately. I'm still kind of in that mood of picking up lots of different things and reading lots of different things. Like there's several things that I'm slowly reading like that. Like I'll pick it up, read a little bit, put it down, pick up something else. So I've still been reading a lot of different stuff, but also finishing quite a bit of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited today to talk about what I've been reading. I've read some great things recently, which is exciting. It's always fun getting to talk about books like that you really love. It's really fun. And really, I love this community. I love reading, y'all. I'm just excited today. So yeah. So first of all, I forgot on my last YouTube video to talk about something that I read. It slipped my mind, but I tried, I've got one of the books here, but it's not the one I read. So I tried a book in the Royal Spinous Mystery series. I think it was called Royal Flush. It was book 3 in the series. At the time when I tried it, I did not have a copy of book 1. My library, I had to get it in, and so they ordered it for me, like from another library, and I have it now, but I haven't read it yet. But I did read the third one since I already had that one, and I was kind of just in the mood for something mystery, I guess, and I wanted to try it out. And so I have this one, Naughty in, I'm going to say nice because I do not know how you pronounce that. No idea how you say it. I don't know why in my mind I feel like I hear it as Nice or something. So I don't know, but we're going to say Naughty and Nice. So anyway, the book that I read in this series by Rhys Bowen was called Royal Flush, and I'll put a picture up here. And thoughts overall, I think I gave it like three and a half. I think I maybe gave it 3.5 stars. So overall, I thought it was like a really kind of interesting and fun series from that one book I read. I have tried to read different cozy mysteries and found a lot of them to be just not. It just depends on the type of cozy mystery. I love like Agatha Christie type cozy mysteries, and there's a lot. And I love a certain type of cozy mysteries, but there's some cozy mysteries, like some of the more modern ones that are really long series and just kind of cheesy, I guess. Sometimes they just don't really grab me enough for me to be really interested in them. I've tried several different ones, but I've heard a lot of good things about this one, so I thought I would give it a try. And I have to say, as far as like that cheesy factor, I mean, yeah, it's not like hard-hitting fiction, but it just, there's something about it that really kept me more interested than the other ones that I've tried. It was just more intriguing. So overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed following along our main character. What is her name? Georgiana Rannoch, Lady Georgiana. Georgiana is like a very distant relative of the king and queen, and this is set in the 1930s, and basically during this time, she is like, her family is kind of like, doesn't have much money, and so she's constantly, it seems like from what I've read, constantly trying to find a job. And in that book, in Royal Flush, she is stuck at her family home in London, I think, and it's like August, and she wants to get away, and I'm trying to remember all the details. Somehow she ends up going back to the family castle in Scotland, I think, and staying there for a while. Her brother and sister-in-law are staying there, and while she's there, she gets involved in this mystery of sorts, And yeah, I can't even remember all the details. From what I can tell, she has this young man that she's interested in whose name is Darcy, and he like suddenly he has like disappeared for a while. He suddenly reappears. Now I remember. Several different strange things are happening. It looks like someone is trying to kill someone in the royal family, and like all of these different accidents start happening. And so Georgiana Georgiana has been asked to kind of keep her eyes open and see if she knows what's going on. So like various different things are happening, and it's the mystery of that. She's trying to figure out, like, is someone trying to kill everyone to get in line to the throne, or what's going on here. So I loved and enjoyed about this was like the cozy element, the 1930s. I like the main character. She's not flamboyant, and like she's more kind of laid back, conservative, like not the flamboyant type that you see in a lot of like the 1920s flapper 1930s era. Like she has lots of friends who are very flamboyant like that and promiscuous, and but she's a more conservative character. I like the bit of romance that we saw. I liked like the cozy elements to it and the setting. So overall, I enjoyed that. Things that I did not like about it. It has a lot of what I would say crass humor, innuendo, crass comments, insinuations and stuff like that, which I did not like that. And I've heard that that's in a lot of the stories. There's like insinuations and hints about things that Georgiana wants to happen between her and her boyfriend or her young man, but it's not happening. And it's like, and from what I gather, it doesn't happen in a lot of the books. I don't know how that goes eventually, because I know they do get married eventually. Spoiler alert. But if you see the series, like you can tell, you're gonna like, if all you gotta do is look at the rest of the books in the series, and it's like obvious she marries him. Anyway, that is like, there's just insinuations and things like that. It makes sense. It's not, I guess what I'm trying to say is, this is not like a Christian fiction series. It's not like against her moral values. But it is clean. It's not like on page or anything that doesn't happen in the book. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it's like a cozy mystery. But like I said, yeah, you have the crass humor and stuff like that. But so I enjoyed it overall. I did not like that. I'm gonna try some more in the series and see what I think. If it gets to be too much, then I'll probably put it down. Very easy to read, very readable. I picked up this one. I've read like maybe the first chapter. When it opens up, Georgiana is in a soup kitchen volunteering, and there's like some conversations about getting away and going to the Riviera, and like getting out of town and going and enjoying is it the Caribbean, or where's the Riviera? Is that, no, that ain't the Caribbean. Where is that? Is that like off the coast of Greece? I have no, France. I was gonna say France. Yeah, so yeah, this one is kind of like, it seems like there's going to be some kind of mystery happening over there. Yeah, so I thought I would continue reading this, and we'll see how it goes. I want to read the first one, and I'm interested in seeing how the series goes, but like I said, I'm not sure if some of the like crass humor and stuff will be too much. I don't know. I think there was maybe some mild language in here, brief maybe, I don't remember. I think there is a little bit of mild, brief language. So, and I said in here, I'm talking about in Royal Flush. I don't know about this one. I haven't finished this one yet. But in Royal Flush, I think there was some mild, brief language. So, then I read this delightful book from Becca Kinzer called First Love, Second Draft, y'all. This one makes me want to laugh just holding it in my hand. This was so cute. Becca Kinzer, I read her first book a couple of years ago, Dear Henry, Love Edith, and I fell in love with it. It was very kind of slapstick, funny, over the top funny, and I just absolutely adored it. This one also kind of has that very much slapstick funny. I felt like it maybe was not quite as funny as the first one, but it has been a while since I read the first one. And there were a few times that I was like, okay, this is a little bit overboard, but at the same time, it was like so funny, and I was loving it and laughing and just laughing. It was made me laugh so hard. But it does have a little bit of deeper themes. Overall, I think I gave this 4.5 stars because I think it was 4.5, 4 to 4.5. It may have been 4. I don't remember. 4 or 4.5 because it was funny. I enjoyed it. As a whole, it was really funny. There were a few things, like if I was gonna take issue with something, there were like a few little plot holes in my opinion. Because mostly just dealing with their relationship. So we have this baseball player who, him and his wife have been divorced for 5 years, and she is a writer and he was like a pro baseball player, and she has an injury and is like barely able to walk because she like breaks her pelvis or something. And suddenly her ex-husband shows up at her home to rent the little cabin, not a cabin, but like a little apartment that she has out back. Her nephew rented it to her ex-husband without her knowing. He's kind of trying to, I don't know if he's trying to matchmake, but he's trying to, maybe in some way trying to matchmake. And so here she is. She can barely move. She's desperate to write her next novel. Here he is. He's been he's had an injury and basically kind of been temporarily kicked out to the curb for a little while, and he's out there to recover, and sparks start to fly between them and they start to explore their relationship, and it's funny. Some hilarious scenes, just some funny stuff in here. I love Becca's writing style. I love how funny she is. Some of the so the things that I love about it is that it's marriage reconciliation, second chance romance. I love the banter, of course. It does have some deeper themes. It deals with like them. They talk about their marriage and why they grew apart, and troubles with maybe like fertility troubles, and things like that. And also her father is sick and in the hospital and not doing well, and so there's various issues. There's also a side story that I did not see coming until it was there, that follows her nephew and another romantic interest. And so these characters are in their 40s. Her nephew's like in his 20s, so kind of balanced it out. I don't know if maybe that's why she did it. I'm not sure why, but I don't know. I don't know why she did that, but it was fun. It was, sometimes I struggle with that because I really, every time it was switched to them, I would be like, I just want to get back to the main characters. But I do think it tied the story together well, and this was just fun. It was really fun. Like, they are having to, she's trying to write her book and he's trying to help her, and then it's coming close to time for him to leave, and then he wants to stay because he wants to work on there. He wants like to get back together with her. He doesn't understand why she cut him off, and they're working through their situation. So yes, very, very funny. I love Becca's books. I have her second book, and I really need to pick it up soon. I've had it since last year. I pre-ordered it last year and never got to it. So I almost picked it up after I read this. I've actually got it over there in my TBR basket, and I may pick it up soon. Maybe. We'll see. But yes, y'all should definitely give Becca Kinzer a try. Then I read this book that I just happened to come across on Facebook. I'm a member of the Facebook group Avid Readers of Christian Fiction. And someone posted this on like a Saturday, or it might have been a weekday. I don't remember what day it was. But anyway, they posted it. I know it was a day that I was able to get a lot of reading done. I really should have been cleaning up. I think it was a Saturday, but I ended up reading that day. I was kind of in a very much of a bit of a funk and just kind of down, and I think it was like around my anniversary weekend, so been struggling and just needed something to kind of, I think it actually might have been on my anniversary or the weekend before my anniversary, and I was just in a funk, didn't feel like doing anything, really didn't want to get off the couch and do anything. I was just like blah, couldn't find the motivation to do anything. So I was like, I saw this and I'm like, I'm gonna give that a try. So someone in that group posted it and mentioned like kind of some of the comments that drew me in was like gritty fiction, marriage of convenience, and I was like immediately like, this sounds interesting. So I went and found it on KU, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try. Well, I was absolutely like just grabbed right off the bat and wanted to keep reading. And I read this in a day, y'all, which shows y'all how much I was really invested in this story, because I might read a book in a day maybe once or twice a year. Like, that never happens. I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the energy to do that. I don't have the focus to do that. But occasionally, if the timing is right, I will read a book. And if it just grabs me, I will read a book in one day. And that's very rare. But this one I did. I was just very much intrigued with this. So this is by a new to me author, Skylar J. Kent. It says a chronic illness warrior novel, and it's called Gold Digger. So this is about, I'm gonna get the names right. So this is about there's a young woman whose name is Lynn Reiner, and she used to be a competitive climber until several years ago. She was stricken with this chronic illness, very debilitating. Like, some days she can't get out of bed. She's in so much pain. It kind of makes me think about something like fibromyalgia type, but it's got another name. There's a name for it that she talks about in here. It's like a chronic illness that they really don't know what causes it, and there's no cure for it or anything, and it causes extreme fatigue, extreme exhaustion, that type of thing. And so she developed this several years ago, and so basically she has flares, and at times she can't get out of bed and do much, and she can't really work. And so anyway, they don't really acknowledge her illness, and she can't get like benefits or anything like that. So, and she's struggling to figure out what she's going to do next. Her mom is not in a good situation. Her mom is an alcoholic, I think, and her mom has her own issues, and so she's just trying to figure out what she's going to do to pay her bills and like keep going, because she's not able, her application, I guess, for disability or something along those lines has been denied again. The conversation comes up between her friend, that there's this guy who is possibly looking for a wife, and maybe she should consider it. And so she's like, what, why would I do that? Because lo and behold, this is a young man that she ran into years ago who is very rich. His family owns a whiskey company, and he's like extremely wealthy, playboy, womanizer. And she's like, why would I want to marry him? She's a Christian, and she's just like, at first she's just like, no. And Keaton, his name is Keaton, he is, like I said, very much playboy. He comes from a really rich family, but also his parents are kind of just bad parents. And like, none of him and his siblings, none of them have good relationships with his parents. And he has like 3 or 4 brothers and a sister, I think. And so I love that. The sibling dynamic between them is very interesting. Can't wait to read more of the sibling stories. He wants to take over the family company, and to do that, he's got to improve his image. And so the suggestion comes up that they should get married, and then someone he knows Lane's brother. And Lane's brother, the suggestion comes up, maybe he should marry Lane, because she needs, they've been telling her she needs to find someone that could help her out because she has no way of getting help. The government won't, you know, they're just like, no, you don't have a real illness, basically. So here comes a marriage of convenience. Keaton is very much not a Christian. Playboy, womanizer, drinks a lot. Not a Christian. Lane is a Christian, and through all of her chronic illness, that's what she clings to, is her faith. Now, I will say, I know that this is probably something that will come up for some people, is the fact that she's a Christian, he's not a Christian, and she chooses to marry him. I know some people are going to take issue with that, probably because of the biblical don't be unequally yoked. In this story, it's portrayed as she feels like God calls her to this, like tells her to marry him and to be a light to him, be a Christian, you know, that God calls her to this. And it kind of relates back to Hosea and Gomer in some ways. It's kind of like it's not a retelling of that, but we see that discussed a little bit. So, it wasn't necessarily condoning that. I didn't look at it as like, oh, you should go out and marry somebody, but more so, this is a story. This is telling a story of someone that, you know, it's just a story. It's not necessarily condoning doing that, but it's kind of taking that story, Hosea and Gomer, and like doing a little bit of a spin on that. Not a retelling at all, but just that idea that she is a light to him. And anyway, she is supposed to, like, she's expected to go with him to events and show up as his wife and go with him as his wife to make him look good. And of course, she's dealing with this chronic illness and it's very debilitating. And there they are in this marriage, and he has his issues and she has her illness, and he really begins to like question her faith and question God, and like, why is God letting her suffer like this? There's just a lot of things like where he's like, God, why are you letting her suffer like this? And yeah, so we see his redemption story. We see her faith in the middle of like this really dark place that she goes through. Their conversations about, you know, why God lets people suffer, and God allowing suffering and things like that. So it really has some good topics when it comes to suffering and the goodness of God, even when things don't turn out the way we want them to, and God's faithfulness through it all, and like he sees the bigger picture, he understands. So, and then like the faith elements, yeah, it was I just loved it. I loved how it was gritty, but it was also like, it had those strong Christian elements and redemption qualities. Like I said, it was gritty. It might not be for everybody. It's more of that gritty, darker fiction. I gave it 5 stars. This is probably going to be one of my favorite books of the year, and I'm actually thinking about going ahead and reading it again. I just keep thinking about it all the time. I keep thinking about it and wanting to read it again, and I immediately bought a physical copy because I love this so much, and I can't wait to read more of the brothers in the series. The next one I think is going to be about Keaton's brother Kingsley, who actually is a Christian, and it's going to be interesting to read his story. So yes, things that I loved about this: I loved the marriage of convenience. I love the chronic illness representation. That's not something that I really have ever read about particularly. I may have maybe once or twice, but I don't really remember. So this book definitely made it very memorable for me. I loved the conversations about faith that Keaton and Lane have. I love the salvation message, like the come to Jesus moment. I love the sibling relationship between Keaton and his brothers. I love seeing like his brothers, little bits of them, and like looking forward to reading their stories. So really love this. So glad to have a new book to recommend to you guys. I love finding Christian fiction that's also, like I said, also has more of a gritty element to it, more of like deeper and tougher topics. And yeah, so I was really, really delighted to find this. And then I read, you guys, another great book, Break My Fall by Lynn Blackburn. Read the first one last year, fell in love with Lynn Blackburn's writing, pre-ordered this one, and finally got to it and read this one. I read this one really fast too. I read it in like a few days. Lynn Blackburn is another one who's very readable. I love her characters. I love her writing style. I love her dialogue. I love this series so much. Like, I could just read book after book after book of a family saga like she's writing in these. Like, I wouldn't even have to have the mystery bar. I could just read the family saga. So this book, this follows Meredith Quinn, and she's a dentist in this small Appalachian town. And the local detective or police chief, police chief, Grayson Ward and her, they have an attraction. She has an attraction to him, but she thinks that he is not at all attracted to her. And so she tries to steer clear of him. She kind of has fallen really hard for him, but she thinks he doesn't want to give her the time of day. She's 32, I think, and she just kind of feels like that she's never been chosen. We begin to see all of this kind of unravel as she begins to be targeted by someone. Grayson Gray is very concerned because she seems to be the target of someone in a neighboring county involved in like the drug community. And so he's worried about her, and her whole family's worried about her. And she travels around in her dentist work. She has a van, and she travels around and offers dental care to people in neighboring counties and neighboring areas. And this county nearby is very well known for its bad elements, I guess you would say. It seems to be very involved in like heavy in drugs and just a crime element there, and dangerous. A lot of people are like, don't go over to this county because it's dangerous. And obviously there's something going on with Meredith. Some reason that someone wants her injured, dead, whatever. What is it? What do we know? Is it injured, dead? Just wants to send her a message? What's going on? That's the deal. So, very much what I love about this is the romance and the relationships and the characters. I love that. I love the big family. I talked about that. I love the southern setting. I feel like when I read these books, this series, I don't know about her other ones, but this series, I very much feel like I'm in on a local small town nearby. Like, it just feels very much like a town I used to live in. Just very small. Everybody knows everybody. The big family elements. I love the big family so much. I love the Quinns. I love how they care about each other and they're worried about each other and they're super protective. I love Mo so much. I cannot wait to read about his story, him and Bronwyn. I'm dying to read it. Mo he has my heart. I think he's going to be one of my favorite side characters in these two books. Like, there's something about him that has captured my heart. He seems like a giant teddy bear, and I love him. And I can't wait to read his story. But there is a part in here that just Mo. So I really related to Meredith. She's like 32, and she feels like she's never been chosen. And then she sees this guy, and she's falling hard for him, but she's trying to avoid him because she don't want him to know. And she kind of tries to open herself up a bit, and then she feels like he rejected her, and so there's this scene where she's just broken about it, and I just related to her so much. And then she goes home, and her brother, he's like, what did he do to you? And I was like, her brother, he's like so overprotective, and he's like, what did he do to you? And I thought, you know what? I read all these books where the main male character's like, who did this to you? Like, to their female love interest. And this is a brother-sister moment that just squeezed my heart. I was like, this is so sweet. He is so protective of her, and he's like, Gray, if you hurt her again, you better move out of town. He doesn't say that, but that's what she tells Gray later on. She's like, you know, you need to move out of town if something goes wrong between us, you're gonna have to move out of town. So I love their sibling dynamic. Love it so much. I love that. I love the cousin dynamic. I love the family dynamic. I love the conversations about some of the things they eat. It's just southern fun when when Gray goes to visit her family and her grandma, and I love it so much, guys. Like I said, I love the characters. The mystery itself, it was interesting. It is very much like drugs, meth. Very much felt realistic as far as like what was going on. It felt like things that I've heard around here. Now, towards the end, it gets a little bit gritty, gory. The mystery elements are a little kind of confusing in my opinion, and not really what I was here for, honestly. I was here for the romance. I was here for the relationships. I was here for the cousin and sibling and dynamic and the family, and I could read this just for that. Like, I loved it so much. So much. 4.5 stars because I felt like there could have been a little bit more. I don't know. I felt like in some parts it felt like there was very much a quick switch with some things between Gray and her. Some things flipped very fast. We didn't really see as much as him working through his feelings, him working through his emotions. So I felt like if it was a bit longer and the other mystery parts were in it, that could have been fleshed out more. But overall, I enjoyed it very much, and I highly recommend this series, and I cannot wait to read the next one. Will say I was a little bit confused because there's some conversations in here about a circumstance that happened, a kidnapping, and I kept thinking, is there like a short story somewhere that I missed? And apparently there is. There was a short story in between these two about one of the family members that I missed, and they talk about it a lot in here. So I do kind of wish I would have read that one. I don't know where I can find it though. I'll have to figure out where I could find it and read it maybe. But other than that, yeah. Just there's a note about that in case you haven't read it. But I love this. I loved it so much. So that's what I've been reading, guys. Also, just mentioned a few things that I've still been reading. The Sword of Truth. Still reading this with Holly from Lovely Day with Holly. I'm finally getting closer to the end. This is a slow read. The chapters are really long. Sometimes it can be a little bit dry, but I really like Gilbert Morris's historical elements. It's making me intrigued about the history of this time period. It has gotten kind of interesting right about now, so I definitely want to pick it up, and I kind of want to go ahead and finish it because I have enough books left. I have enough books that I'm reading right now that I need to kind of finish up some of them, but yes, still reading that one. Another one that I've been slowly reading is this book called Widow's Mite, Embracing Life After the Loss of Your Spouse. I think I'm about halfway through this. I found this a couple years ago at a local bookstore, and it was the story of a widow. She kind of just shares her story and what she went through afterwards. I thought it'd be interesting as a widow. I've been slowly reading it. It's a nonfiction. I'm trying to read more nonfiction. So yeah, I'm slowly trying to read this because I've got some other nonfiction I want to pick up. It's interesting read. I think it's probably one I'll unhaul after I read it. It's not something that I'm going to be interested in reading again. It's interesting, getting someone else's perspective that's also walked through the path of widowhood, even though her situation was a lot different. Her husband died from a medical illness, and they were both older than me. It's still good and to read about someone that's gone through a similar situation, and it can be good and can be positive just to read about someone else's story. So there's that I'm reading. Also still reading Anne of Ingleside. I have about halfway through, not quite. I stopped for a little bit on this, but I'm picking it back up and hoping to go ahead and finish this one soon. Lastly, I'm holding this because I wanted to remember. I have not read this. This is the first in a novel of Best Laid Plans. This is book 1, Grace Hitchcock. I, for whatever reason, happened to see the second book in this series, To Kiss a Night, was coming out in May, and they were accepting ARC applications, launch team applications. Well, I saw it was about a marriage of convenience, and so I'm like, oh, wait, that sounds good. I need to try that. So I applied, and lo and behold, I was accepted, and I have been slowly reading that one over the past month. It was the first Grace Hitchcock that I've ever read, and it was different than what I was expecting. So, yes, I did read the second one first. I ordered this one because I was like, I need to read this one now that I've read the second one, but, we'll see. I don't know. Right at this point, I'm really not interested in reading this one, but we'll see. So I read the second one, and let me preface this by saying this is me. I think other people would probably really enjoy this book. It's very lighthearted, it almost feels, I don't know what the word would be. It's not, I feel like it's more of a lighthearted Regency romance. But first of all, I'm gonna just say that this book, it has been a long time since I watched The Princess Bride, is that what it's called? Or A Princess Bride? The Princess Bride, I think. But this book really it gave me similar vibes to The Princess Bride. Like, there's just an element about it that really gives me The Princess Bride vibes. And it's a Regency romance, but I really kept questioning throughout the book if it was really set in Regency times, because to me it felt a little bit older, like more medieval. I don't know, there was just something about it that made me feel like that. But we followed this young woman who, let me think about it. She's a writer, and her stagecoach ends up being hijacked by a highwayman, and circumstances ensue, and they end up later on meeting and having to become involved in first they're faking a marriage of convenience. Well, then the fake marriage of convenience becomes a real marriage of convenience. And she goes to his estate. And falls in love with his grandmother, and they're falling in love. He's a knight. He's working undercover for and also through all of this, so she meets him as the highwayman, and then later on she meets him not as the highwayman, and she don't know he's the highwayman that kidnapped her. That's when she goes into the marriage of convenience with him, and through all of this, for a long time, she doesn't know he's the highwayman, and then finally she finds that out. So there's that element too. But yeah, it's that story, marriage of convenience. He's kind of a spy, a knight. He has secrets. It feels like an adventure story. I gave this like 3 stars. It just wasn't for me. It felt more juvenile than what I was looking for. Like I said, I think some people would love it, but personally it just wasn't what I was looking for. It definitely has a lot of conversations about faith, a lot of conversations about the Bible and things like that, Bible verses and faith elements, but there were a lot of parts that personally felt a little bit cliche, and like you could kind of see where the story was going, and it just didn't captivate me. Personally. Just wasn't the type of Regency that I'm used to reading, and I don't know, like, if you've read it, maybe you can get what I'm saying, or maybe not. But there was just something about it that didn't feel like your typical Regency romance. It just felt off. Maybe it felt more like YA, and more, like I said, to me it felt more medieval. I have a couple of her other books, another book by her, series by her, that I would maybe like to try one day. Her series that she wrote about, like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like set in America, I think. I would possibly want to read those one day. For right now, though, I really have no interest in continuing with this series. And please know, I say all of that with just this. Every book is not for every person, and this one just wasn't for me. This writing style, this series, it just wasn't for me. Sorry to end this video on a sad note, but anyway, there you go, guys. There's my reading wrap up. I hope to have another video soon. Still reading some good things, so hopefully we stay on a roll with these books. In my Bible, I've been reading in Exodus, and Exodus is so good. I've just really been getting some good things out of Exodus. I definitely need to be reading more in my Bible. That's something that I've got to work more towards. I want to work more towards. I want to be more intentional and focused about. But yes, reading in Exodus, and Exodus is really good, guys. Really good. So there you have it. I'm thinking about doing a summer TBR video, so hopefully, maybe if I get that together, it'll come out soon. We'll see. If y'all think I should do a summer TBR video, leave me a comment and let me know. I would love to know, like, what y'all think. I'm thinking about, like, kind of, because there's several different things I want to focus on in the summer. I want to read some, summary books. I want to read some, Jane Austen. I want to read some revolutionary things around July. So yeah, I'm thinking about maybe going in and planning a summer TBR video and filming that, and also hoping to do a bookshelf tour soon. So maybe we'll get to it soon, guys. But anyway, thank y'all for watching, for taking time to watch, even when I get long-winded and chatty. Love you guys. Bye.